Hi, today I'm going to show you how to paint Blossom in mixed media. I'm going to be using acrylic paint, white paint, 3 types of acrylic ink, a bright yellow, sepia and sap green. I'm also, like yesterday, going to add some Brusho, black Brusho and Prussian blue. These are crystallised inks and they're really fantastic to use. I've got a water spray here that I'm going to use to make that happen at the end. I'm also using 2 brushes, an acrylic brush to put the acrylic on and a watercolour brush, both from the SAA, and a piece of credit card that I'm going to print with. Now I've actually already done this first bit. I'm going to show you here that I've already put the acrylic paint on top of the flowers. Hopefully you can see that. This has now dried, so I'm ready to do the rest. I also used the credit card to print the little bits here like that with the acrylic paint. All of this is dry now and I've got my inks in the palette here ready to start. So I'm going to use my detailer brush here, watercolour brush, and I'm going to use the inks. First of all, the sepia ink to go all the way down the stalk here, and these little bits coming off. So you can use acrylic ink just like watercolour in a very similar way, but it's nice and strong, and of course being acrylic, once it dries it will stay permanent, it won't move. So that's quite useful sometimes. If I add water, I can make that colour lighter, just like watercolour. A little bit more here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the sap green here, coming up the flower. This is kind of underneath this flower that's overlapping, and here. And then again I'm going to add some water to let that do a bit of a wet and wet technique. Those of you who are watercolourists will understand that terminology. I'm just going to add some to the buds here. And a little bit inside the middle of the flowers. This is where I'm going to add a little bit of the bright yellow as well, so that I can mix in with the green. Keep cleaning the brush in between. Just pulling some of those stamens out, like that. And a little bit of water just to help that blend. I will be going over these flowers again with white paint because when we add the Brusho it may go over some of it. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow to the stalks. See? And I need all of that to dry before I add the Brusho. So whilst it's drying, just to explain a little bit about it. So these are crystallised inks and we can use them dry on the paper. It's just little tiny crystals, so they look like powder when we put them out. And I've got black here which is very, very strong, so I don't need too much of it. I'm just flicking the end around here. You can see the little hole I've made there with a skewer. I'm just putting this around here, trying to avoid the flowers if I can. Not always easy because you can't see exactly where it's going. So there's a little bit of black. I'm also going to add some blue because the idea is this is a sky. This all started from a walk with my son yesterday, and the sky was looking very threatening at one point, and these white flowers shone against the dark sky. This was the photograph that I took and that is the inspiration behind this picture. So I've got all of that on there. Still need to make sure that it's all dry before we put the spray on, because I don't want the acrylic ink to bleed into it too much. Okay, and this is the magic. I just love this, it's so exciting. So, spray, water spray bottle like this, just do this and you get this amazing colour happening before your very eyes. Now some of those flowers you can see are disappearing a little bit behind the brusho, but don't worry about that. First of all, we can get this kitchen towel and wipe it a little bit, we can get that back. This is why it's important that your ink is dry before you start, so that we don't actually get rid of the ink as well. Can you see they're coming back here? But they're still not showing up as much as I would like them to. So I can use the brush to just help some of this darker colour go in around the flowers, look. Not too much, so I don't want to lose that lovely speckled look. I'm picking some of this Prussian blue up here and adding it around the flower. And the other thing I could do is just add a little bit more of the brusher at this stage. The dry brusher on top, if there's not enough. Again, I'm just helping it a little bit in here. And then if you feel that your flowers aren't showing up quite as much as you would like them to, then you can always add a little bit more of the white paint at this stage. So I'm going to use my acrylic brush now to add some more white acrylic to the flowers. If I add more white now, they will be much stronger. Look how nice and thick that is. That way it gives some texture to the flowers as well. I'm just brushing it on. Oops. And here you can see it's just making them a bit stronger. And again, I can put a few more stamens on using the credit card. I'm just going to add some white along the credit card like this. And this is what I prepared earlier as well. And then use the credit card to just add a few of these little stamens like this. Now on the photo there are some little yellow bits on the end of the stamen, so I'm going to use this barbecue stick. I'm going to get a little bit of white paint and some yellow ink, and I'm just going to add some of these around here. And a little bit of sepia as well. And you can pull them down like this and give you extra bits of the stamens. You're basically drawing with the barbecue stick. Look at the way that ink goes into the brusho, really beautiful. A few more white blobs on there. Oops, a bit too wet at the moment. And there we have it. some white blossom. Thanks for watching.